You said no video games. What were you up to this
that's
weekend?
not technically true because I was able to finish Death Stranding.
That's right. You messaged me at 12. And
I
then
woke you up from
continued.
your sleep. I was like, hey, you got to hear
No, I was working on the game.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I finally finished Death Stranding, which at the final end screen, they show you how many times or how many hours you spent. So I spent a good 42 hours, which I've seen people spend longer, less time than that.
2 days of your life right there.
But yeah, it was not consecutive. But yeah, no, I had fun. Like I told you, it's a lot of mixed feelings. It's a lot of feelings to unpack. But I had fun playing the game. There was a time where, even though I'm going to talk a lot of shit about it, about how they handled specifically how they handled the story and the characters. That was my biggest beef with it. But the gameplay was awesome. Yeah. The loop was awesome. I found myself because it tells you towards the end, it's like, hey, the end point is coming. Like, do you want to do anything before that ends? And I found myself pushing that off as far as I could because I was having fun.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that was me in fucking Fallout where I'm just like, oh, it's
Fallout 4?
Fallout 4, yeah. Ending can go fuck itself. I did like the ending though. So I mean, it's nice when you have a game like that.
Right.
And so you did have fun with the gameplay, which was a lot of people's biggest sticking point. Was like the gameplay is not.
I wasn't sure how I was going to
fun.
handle that because I remember reading that too because you're having to balance and it's like you're a postman simulator where you have to walk and traverse this terrain. And you have to balance it yourself. You have to deal with the weight that you have on physically, the terrain you're dealing with. You have to kind of plan out your route. And then at the same time, you have these crazy trans-dimensional monsters that you can't see that are will attack you to the point where you have to you lose all your stuff. You have to go redo it. Or you have humans that want to steal your stuff. It's a whole thing. But that was actually really, really fun. And it was just and I kept, Megan was around me. I kept yelling at my TV when there was some kind of weird cheesy dialogue or there's so much cheesy fucking dialogue that it's kind of a bummer. But at the same time, there's a lot of thoughts in this wrapped up in this, right? But it's this double-edged sword where that's why the Kojima games are so cool because they're so weird. So you almost can't.
You wouldn't want a not weird
right?
Kojima
and
game.
and I understand that, and I'm on board still. It's like you can't penalize them for being so fucking weird when it gets weird. It's like you're on the roller coaster; you got to experience it. The feelings I have are also similar to how I look at Kanye West. He's brilliant. He's made some of the best fucking music in this decade or in this timeline.
But don't forget, he's remaking it.
What do you mean remaking it?
I think he's remaking some of his earlier albums in a more Christian manner.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Fuck. See, that's the other dichotomy. It's like he goes the other direction.
Be so bad.
He can be insane. He is insane at the same time. So that with that creativity, you get this bonkers fucking person.
Yeah.
With Kojima, it's not the same, but his game is like that. His games are like that, where it's like they're the Kanye West of games, where they're so uniquely different and creative, but also with the dialogue and the choices, it goes off the deep end. And I'm just like, what the fuck am I playing? Why'd they make these decisions? Why is this guy called, Heartman or fucking Mow the Lawn Man or just all these literal terms? It bugs me. But everything else is so great about the game. It's a really, really good game. So I still recommend playing it. If you ever catch it on, it's on PC. I don't know how you're going to run this on PC because it's a pretty
If I ever had a PlayStation, that would be with the backlog of games I haven't played, that would be the literal last game I would ever play. God of War, all the Uncharted's,
I still highly recommend it though. It's something about one of the things is I'm gonna go hard in the paint on Death Stranding, right? So one of the things is respecting the fact that when they announced this game, this is maybe 4 years ago they started announcing the game. They had the engine with Guerrilla Games, right? They're able to use their Decima engine, I want to say it's called, and they're able to create this crazy realized world that's almost photorealistic with these crazy performances with the cast. And in a short amount of time, they're able to create a AAA caliber game with a new studio. Kojima Productions is a new studio. I don't know who he got to, steal from Konami when he left.
Most of his old team.
I would imagine so, because they're able to just not skip a beat.
These are some AAA talent that have been doing it for years. So gotcha. New studio, but
right, new studio, who it is, but not really.
Yeah.
But that makes sense because they were able to relatively quickly, produce something that's still.
No, that was fucking fast for a game that you're going to spend 48 hours in, 42 hours in, that. Ooh.
And it's a new
I spent
property.
Less time in Outer Wilds.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I think I beat that in maybe 24.
Yeah, I feel like that was a game too where you could choose to spend longer or not. I don't know.
But I chose to spend as long as I could. I completed every quest I could, and it was maybe over 24. Like,
yeah,
this is that's how talented his team is. That's how good the tools are. I'd be really curious to see what else is made with that Guerrilla Games engine. That being said, I have a feeling it's one of those engines it's meant to make an open world game, I think. This is just a guess, though. I've never played with it. I've never touched it. It could completely not be that at all. Yeah. But the fact that it made 2 ginormous open world games work so perfectly, I bet it's mainly geared for that. So if you're trying to make like a Tetris attack with it, you could.
That could be rough. Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Although it's gonna be like this photorealistic,
right.
Really trippy Tetris game. But
yeah,
no, I mean with that engine, I want to say that's the same engine, just improved upon, that got them at least the newer Killzone, that released with the PS4, that Killzone Horizon, I want to say it was called. So I want to say it's that same engine, because they wouldn't like develop a new one just for Horizon. So it's like they're using that same engine, which they've done first person stuff on.
I would like to look that up. It may actually be a new engine.
It's possible. The keyboard's so far away, so I have to.
But I mean, like, clearly that team is talented as shit. Killzone, like, remember when Killzone 2 had to come out and try to look like the trailer?
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't look like the trailer, but it still looks stupid gorgeous.
I would love to revisit that whole story, because that was nuts for them to really put their dick on the table and say, hey, we're going to make this game. And everyone's like, that's obviously 100% CG cutscene.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's going to look like that. And it pretty much looked as like, just like you said, as close as possible with like console hardware. And they're able to nail it. And then Killzone 3 looked awesome too.
Killzone 3 still like blows my mind how pretty that game looked. And it was just one sequel later, but it looked so much better than 2, which 2 shouldn't have been possible. And then 3 was just stupid pretty. That team absolutely knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to tech. They're engine people. I
think so. I think they've paired the engine aspect of it with the creativity, with creating these. I mean, they created Horizon, which is a new property, and it's basically on board to be this next like flagship, Sony thing. That's the thing with Death Stranding. So there's at any point you can go into first person mode and like kind of view the area and keep playing the game. Basically,
you just can't tell when you're off balance.
You can't, no, but a game will kind of like shove you out of it. But you can always go into that first person mode, and everything's still, all the textures are super high fidelity. So it's like I can see the flexibleness of that engine when you're able to go back and forth.
And that's one of the tricky things too, is the first person textures have to be ultra high res, which.
But then how do you tell the system to not make it so high res when you're obviously third person? Like you don't need it. So how do you like
mip mapping?
Okay, is that's a term, or that's a thing?
Mip mapping, LOD. You're not going to worry about as much LOD.
That's level of detail, right? Yes. Like as you get closer. Okay.
There's certainly, I don't know how many people are using it, but you can use tessellation and do a bit more stuff with LOD. A lot of people just use pop-in, which honestly works fine. Like, we don't like pop-in.
Pop-in is where you're walking around, you can see physically things coming
like Outer Wilds had it bad because I had my settings so low, but like literally bushes would be growing as I like get closer.
Gotcha.
But I feel like at this point we're so used to pop-in.
Sure, but I
don't even see it.
Does that mean that we should be okay with it?
No,
right?
Absolutely not. Especially with the next gen consoles, pop-in has to be dead. My PC won't be able to handle these games, but pop-in needs to be dead.
I think that's what they're kind of describing as the future. I didn't experience that with Death Stranding. There wasn't any technical issues. As detailed and beautiful as the world is, and it's all loaded once you're there, like there wasn't anything popping in or weird physics. It all like beautifully ran. I was actually like super surprised with the speed they're able to create this with. It's a new engine, new property. One thing I found really cool was some of those bonkers cutscenes that they released or trailers they released years ago. Mm-hmm. Those are in the game fully realized, where like that's just a level that they then use. Mm-hmm. So they had this planned out from the beginning, even though this seemed like there was never like an actual end goal. They had these scenes planned, which are part of the game. So I don't know when Kojima actually started working on this thing. Maybe it was always in his back pocket, and then he decided to like go full force when Metal Gear fell through.
I could see that. I think he's probably one of those guys that just has so many ideas going on. And he's just writing them down, and just one day he'll get to them. But at the same point, he was with Konami. You got to keep pumping out those Metal Gears,
right? That or Pachinko.
And I'm sure he loved making Metal Gear. Yeah. Like that game's fucking weird.
Oh yeah, especially that last one. But there's a lot of bleed over with the concepts in this one with the Metal Gear franchise, or at least that with Metal Gear 5, with how you develop your loadout, how you tackle the levels and the replayability within the levels. No, I really dug it. It's just, for me, the biggest bummer or why it hurt so bad with that ending and the story stuff was because I loved everything else so much.
Right.
And there's a lot of just cheesiness, and I don't know if he's the only guy responsible for the story or for the dialogue, and maybe, have someone help, or, have somebody to branch stuff off and throw back things back and forth. But that would be a Kojima game, so I don't know. I'm very very back and forth with it, but I still had a lot of fun with it.
I'd be curious to know what you think. I heard from reviews that the bosses are super pushovers. What did you think of the
I played
bosses?
there was a difficulty level. I set it on the regular, and I was able to play it just fine. There are, as far as the bosses go, they're pretty much like standard. You can tell that there was like a kind of a 3 beat where you kind of nail them three times.
Stages.
Yeah, with the damage.
Whatever you want to call
there was right. No, I think they handled that well. It was more was to be expected with the whole the way you tackle a boss. There's one boss level in particular. I can't wait till you either give in and watch the ending fights or play the ending game.
I don't care enough. I don't care enough.
There's one ending where it's, or one aspect of the final boss battles where it's literally a fucking boss battle, and it's kind of hilarious how on the nose they go with it. You'll have to watch it, but or experience it. It's kind of hilarious, funny, also just too breaking the fourth wall for me, but it's all wrapped up in one, and it's just they did it.
There's a health bar in the sky, clearly.
I'm not gonna say any more, Gavin, but I think you're on the right track there. Yeah, but that's just it's a lot of feelings, but I still had fun. Am I ready day one for the next Kojima game? 100%. I'm just there's a lot of mixed feelings with this game.
I think his last two ended product, it definitely shows to me how much of a not Kojima, because while I like the Metal Gear games, I've never felt compelled to play them. I'll happily watch someone play them.
Sure.
I think they're super interesting and the stories are off the fucking rails. But PT, and I know people love PT, I hated PT. When we played that.
Yeah.
I was not having a good time. And as much as I hate I didn't even hate it because it was scary.
No, because we were on board to get scared. We knew that going in that it was going to be scary.
Or we should have played that one game. What's the one with gives people PTSD?
Gives people PTSD.
God, it's super scary. And anyway,
Slenderman, I think I had that one ready to go, but
Slenderman actually probably would have been fun because I only kind of know how it works. I know you don't want to look behind you if he is behind you or something like that. I played Five Nights at Freddy's. I played Five Nights at Freddy's on my phone once, which is hilarious because every time the monster goes to kill you, my phone will lock up. So it'll be the thing will start jumping, it'll start to make a noise, and then it'll lock up, and I'm like, when's it gonna unfreeze? I forgot where I was going with that.
Just with with PT or with PT
I didn't really like, and from what I've seen in this game, I don't think I'd like it either. So I'm a bit nervous. I don't know if Kojima's ever gonna make something that's my jam unless he hooks up with Suda51 and they make something that's so batshit bonkers.
Wow, that's a great pairing.
I love Suda51's weird. I think his weird gels with me a little bit better. I love Killer 7?
Killer 7.
And it was weird, and I love the thing with Killer 7 too is the back of the player's guide, it explains all the symbolism, and there's so much shit I never... some of these cars... color changes from blue to red partway through the story, and that symbolizes something this changed to this. Somebody is meeting with somebody instead of somebody. I'm like,
oh,
what the actual fuck?
Gotcha.
So that guy has my number, or even the not Travis Touchdown, but the No More Heroes games.
Yeah.
Are just they're just wacky.
Yep.
You get those two together, it's gonna be dynamite mixed with fireworks,
or they could never work together because they're so opinionated or
I could see that
creative.
I could totally see that. They're both I'm sure both of them are super strong headed and want their weird ass game the way they want their weird ass game. So could be fun.
Yeah, but no, just got to finally finish that, and that's really been it.